All right, so it is 3:34 and we're gonna call the finance meeting to order. I wanna welcome my colleagues on the council, Councilor Victor Davila and Councilor Tim Allen, who are both on the finance committee. I also want to welcome school committee member Barbara Gresham to the meeting. Thank you, Ms. Gresham, for joining us. We have George Blake also on the line, just to give a personal testimony about his experience at the school department. At some point, we have TJ Plant, who was the CAFO for the city, and Lindsay, the deputy CAFO, and Counselor Hurst. Thank you for joining. And I see that Zeta Govan has joined. She is our new member of the school committee starting in January. So we are definitely welcome to have her. It's a great time to learn. And Paul and Peter from the media and the city council team is back there too. So I just want to welcome everybody and we'll go ahead and get started. The reason that this meeting was pulled together was originally to talk to the finance department on the school side about ESSER funds, ESSR funds, and the use of those funds, and then go into a conversation about hazard pay, merit pay for the school side. Some of the questions that I did have for the school department, and I don't know if TJ will have the information, but I wanted to ask if there was some expenditures that freed up some cash that could go toward, that went to the ESSR funds, ESSER funds, and could be freed up to give some merit pay to the school side employees. They work hard. They deal with our kids on a daily basis. The ones behind the team keeps the show going. We definitely want to reward them in some type of way. And so the purpose of the meeting was to see if we could do that. But today I did get a message that Pat Roach, who is the chief financial officer for the school department, that he was advised not to come to this meeting today by Chris Collins, who is the vice president of the school committee. And because they had a meeting on the 9th, I don't know why that's relevant. I guess a lot of people in the public didn't attend that meeting, didn't know about that meeting. Even some school committee members didn't know about the meeting. So it is what it is. At least we have TJ and Lindsay, who we always can count on to answer what they know. So with that, I'm just going to ask TJ to talk about ESSR funds and whatever you know about that, TJ, and then we'll go from there.
Sure. So let me kind of start at the beginning for the city, and then ultimately how the school conversation has gone on the city side and my conversations with both the superintendent and Patrick Roach. So the mayor, when premium pay became an option for the city employees, the mayor actually directed Bill Mahoney and I to come up with a process to reward those employees that went above and beyond during COVID. The HR department put together a rubric. The rubric kind of took into account coming into the office, exposure, all the different things, attendance outside of COVID, all these other areas that were put as part of the rubric. Department heads went through, identified through all their employees, kind of all their attendance, what they did, how they, above and beyond, all those little things like that. Submitted that to HR, who ran it through the rubric, and then came up with a monetary and a money value to it. Non-bargaining, since we didn't have to engage the unions, went through rather quickly, and then we engaged each of the unions on the city side with that. Virtually all the unions now on the city side have settled. In the meantime, there was a lot of requests from the school department employees saying, hey, can the city or schools give our teachers, our paras, our employees a merit bonus or merit pay? And the answer I got out of the gate was no, the school department doesn't have funds for that. That the funding that they have from ESSER directly prohibits them using funding for merit pay. So that was kind of the answer. And then that kind of, for a little while, quieted things down to the extent that that was school department's position. Okay. Then I got a number of more phone calls, and then what made it a little messier was the mayor, in the meantime, came to me and said, hey, we have the school nurses and the tradesmen who are technically school employees do work on behalf of the city. Can we open up the merit raises to them? The answer basically was, we can do whatever we want. We just need to understand what the price tag may be if we go down that road for school employees. And he's like, no, I'm just talking about those two unions. So we have now since gotten the information back from the school nurses and the information back from the tradesmen that are now being negotiated for with the unions to implement merit pay for those folks. The information that I received from the school department when I further asked, because the mayor asked me to check in about the school department on merit bonuses, was that they could do anything if the city has the money to do it. And if the city's willing to give them the money, but at this point, they don't have the money. They put the money in the salary schedule for the teachers in the recent contract, and that they're not entertaining premium pay or hazard pay, whatever you want to, or merit pay. All three are synonymous in my book, but the language is important because ESSER prohibits merit pay. ESSER allows for teacher retention pay, and that's where the question started to come around, what is happening? So my message back to Superintendent Warwick and to Pat Roach was, at this point, the city is not going to entertain anything beyond those two unions that we asked to step up to help the city, because if you were to do a range, it'd be $15 to $20 million out of the ARPA funds that were set aside. And I know 123 million is a lot of money, which it is, but it goes fast. So the mayor wasn't willing to entertain anything of the city money. And at that point, the conversations with the school department kind of ceased, and we didn't end up getting anywhere with it as it relates to whether or not. My understanding on November 6th or 9th, there was a subcommittee meeting. I was not in attendance, where there was a presentation by the school department to the school committee's subcommittee on why the bonuses weren't allowed. And at that point, that I went back to try to find any video of it. I don't think it's up yet on Focus Springfield, because I was just curious what their argument was. But that's where we stand today. I did have a conversation with Pat Roach, similar counselor, when you had the conversation when he said he wasn't coming. And I said, there's what I'm going to say. He said that's what I would say anyway, is at this point, they're not entertaining a merit premium pay or hazard pay program at the school department. That the money is allocated into the classroom and allocated for the kids, and that they're not ready to do that.
So thank you, TJ, for the background. I did speak to Pat Roach too, prior to him saying that he wasn't coming when he said he was coming. And I told him I kind of just wanted him here to talk to us about ESSER pay and what it can be used for and what it is being used for. So I don't know if you have that level of detail on the ESSER funding.
I don't, but that's what I'm looking into, because I think I've spoken to many of you, if not all of you. We're getting 123 million from ARPA.
Mm-hmm.
The school department is getting nearly 300 million through ESSER 1, ESSER 2, and ESSER 3. Right. And so that's kind of, in an order of magnitude of where we are with that. So I don't have the exact numbers. I'm starting to look into the ESSER grant in and of itself, just to kind of get a sense of what's allowable, what isn't, but I'm working on that.
Yeah, from what he told me, they did look into just the hazard pay or merit pay, whatever it's called. And it said that it cannot be used for that, but he didn't really go into detail about what it is being used for. All he said is that it was allocated already to the different schools. And so I'll be curious to know what those allocations are. If we have to work through you, because for whatever reason, I don't mind doing that, TJ, but that is something that I would want to know what the ESSER allocation is. I don't know. He didn't mention 1, 2, and 3, so I didn't know that there was
Well, ESSER
levels.
1 and 2, I presume are mostly spent, if not completely spent. So ESSER 3 is more the current year funding allocation, and I can get a breakdown of that.
Thank you very much. And then I'm gonna open it up from questions or comments from the council, but I wanted to say, while things did, quiet down for the school side and maybe for you, TJ, they have never quieted down for us. They have never quieted down for the counselors who know teachers and principals and paras and IT folks and tradespeople that are not included in the union that the mayor is paying. It has never quieted down for us. And so that's concerning for me, because they are important and they deserve it. I mean, they kept our schools running through COVID, and I don't know what I would have done with the 4 kids that I have custody of if it wasn't for the school department, if it wasn't for people running around, making sure folks have laptops and all the things that was provided to our youth during that time. So, and they're still doing a lot of work right now, COVID testing on a weekly basis. They're still doing a lot of work right now when kids are at risk of COVID and they have to send home materials and they have to answer the questions for the students and the parents. I mean, it's still going on. So for it not to be considered, it's like a slap in the face to the staff. Counselor Hurst.
Yeah, yes. Quick question for you. Why is Pat Roach not here? I'm a little confused.
Oh, so I got a text that said he will not be attending because the school committee asked him not to attend. And I said, who specifically? Was it the superintendent? And I mean, I have all this in writing. I could send it to you. He said, no, not the superintendent. It was Chris Collins, the vice president of the school committee. And I asked why. And he said, because they already had a finance meeting on this on November 9th. And I said, last I knew, you didn't report to the school committee. Correct me if I'm wrong. And I put that in the email as well. That
So
you were included on.
So, Council, he does report to the school committee. They do execute a contract with the superintendent, the assistant superintendent, and the school business administrator per Mass General law.
Okay. The school
So
business
say
administrator.
that
That's what
again,
he is.
TJ.
So from what I understand, when I was over there, there are 3 positions that the school committee executes a contract for statutorily: the superintendent, the assistant superintendent, and the school business administrator, school CFO.
So are you telling me, TJ, that one school committee member can unilaterally tell Pat Roach to not show up?
I'm not telling you any of that. I'm just telling you that he reports to the school committee and well, Dan ultimately, but ultimately the school committee because he has a contract with them. So that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying one way or another of who says it, vice chair says it, not says it. I'm just saying.
So I think the expectation, Madam Chair, is that we want to see Pat Roach present. And my thought process is that if we can't get Pat, then we ought to, at the very least, get the superintendent. I can't remember a time where someone just said, no, they're not going to show up because one member of the school committee said that they can't go. That doesn't even make good sense to me. We're all looking to do the right thing on behalf of the children in our school system and on behalf of those who work in our school system. And so the idea that the school committee, one individual from the school committee has purview over someone who is going to provide us with information is just flat out nonsense. With that said, I think we all know that they deserve merit pay. Teachers, custodians, our IT folks, and we on the city council side have lobbied for merit pay. It's also clear that the mayor is the chair of the school committee. I'd imagine that he has some sort of influence or say in some way, shape, or form over the budget and over the superintendent. If the mayor wants to make it happen, then the mayor, in conjunction with the superintendent and the school committee member for that matter, and the city side from a finance standpoint, he can make it happen. And he ought to make it happen, period. So this idea of I want to pass the buck, should the school side has the funds, the city has the funds, that's just, I mean, you're just hanging the folks out there to dry that have been putting their lives on the line. And it's wrong. It's just flat out wrong. However, which way you wanna look at it, it's wrong. And if the mayor wants to do something about it, he can. And if he chooses not to, then just say no. I'm not gonna do it on both the school side and on the city side. So I know it's not you, TJ. I know it's the mayor, but since we're probably not gonna get the mayor in this setting, please convey how I feel about it to the mayor. He ought to do better. And if he's not gonna do it, say no. I'm not gonna give it on either the school side or the city side, and be clear with it. Be clear with them. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Counselor. I definitely echo those sentiments. Just be clear, it's a yes or a no. Like, we don't have to keep doing this. We don't have to keep having meetings, but let the public know exactly where the school department and the city stands. Counselor Davila.
Thank you,
And I want to
Madam.
thank Counselor Hurst and Davila because we did do a joint letter on behalf of the school department employees. I don't want to just say teachers. I don't want to just say principals, because we were looking at all of the employees, and it is an expensive bout if you look at it from a $5,000 per employee. But if you reduce it a little bit, 3,000, 1,000, I mean, at least they're getting something. At least they're feeling a little bit appreciated. That will reduce the cost a little bit. So it doesn't have to be 5,000. It could be an amount less than that, but to get nothing is a smack in the face. Counselor Davila.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, TJ, Lindsay, for being here. TJ, who are the two unions that you say that they're considering pay for?
On the school side, it'd be the school nurses and the tradesmen.
Okay. All right, so I want to ask you two questions, TJ. Again, just kind of echoing what Councilor Hurst was saying. I realize you are the messenger here, but why is the administration considering these two unions and not everybody else?
Because the conversations because we actually called the school nurses and the tradesmen and asked them to help the city in a time of need to step up through vaccination, through contract tracing, through testing. Tradesmen help build the tent and help, install all the HVAC systems to get our schools back. So we felt, since we asked them
Makes sense, yeah.
to do it, that we would
Right.
put our money out there to do it.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. I probably would have done the same thing in your shoes, TJ, and in the mayor's shoes. TJ, there's one thing, however, that I do not understand to save my own life here. It makes sense to me that what you're saying about these two unions, the school nurses and the tradesmen getting merit pay, I get that. That makes a lot of sense to me. But I have not heard an explanation as of yet, unless I missed it, why the teachers and other school employees are not given the merit pay. Because particularly with the teachers, although they were teaching remotely, they are now teaching in person in this middle of a pandemic. So they should qualify for something. So I just have not heard an argument as to why is it that they don't qualify for that. And I just really, if you could enlighten me, because I don't get it, TJ. I just don't get it, to be honest with you.
Well, so I'll tell you what I know. The mayor opened up the merit pay on the city side, welcomed in the two unions from the school side. We are done. Our merit program is over. We've met and negotiated with all the unions, and between now, what's been paid out to date and what needs to get paid out in the next couple of weeks for the other contracts, our merit program is over. We're not opening it up again. It's gonna cost about $4.8 million, all said. The mayor is not gonna put ARPA funds on the table due to the sheer amount of the funding for the school department employees. Unfortunately, I'm not saying they don't deserve it, I'm not saying they didn't work hard. I mean, I don't want to get into that level, because I would never sit there and look my wife in the eye and say what she did at home and what my kids did at home don't deserve something.
Right.
Having said that, my fiduciary responsibility was to not recommend it for the school department and work with the school department to see if they wanted to do it. And my understanding is they're saying ESSER doesn't allow it, therefore they're not doing it. And they said if the city's willing to fund it, we will do it. And we're saying we are not willing to fund the school side. And if you're not willing to do it, then the conversation, as far as I'm concerned, is over.
So basically, it seems to me that is the administration's position, a standpoint that, as you say, it's closed, it's not going to be revisited. And for whatever reason, the administration believes that they're not entitled to this money. That's pretty much what.
That's putting words in our mouth about not entitled. That is the key point I'm trying to say.
I'm not putting words in your mouth. I'm just trying to make sure that
I'm not saying they're not entitled. We're just saying that if the school department and the school committee want to figure out a way to do retention bonuses, merit pay, or some other version, it's on the school committee to do it and direct Dan Warwick as the superintendent to figure something out.
Now, it is my understanding that, if I'm not mistaken, during the ARPA presentations, we were informed by Attorney Moore that he has not heard anything that does not allow the city to use ARPA money toward teachers. Is that correct?
So I've said this 3 times today.
Will you say it a fourth?
I will say it a
Will you say it a fourth time for me, please?
Yes, we have $123 million. We gave out $5 million in merit bonuses for the city side employees for the direction of the mayor. I do not have anywhere between 15 and 20 or 10 and 15 million more to put towards it when we have transformational change we're looking to do with the one-time funding from the federal government.
Right.
So
Go ahead, sorry.
No, I said that is the decision of the mayor, that the merit program is over as far as he's concerned, unless something comes up on the school department side where they look at another funding source or some other way to do it.
Right. So it is obviously the decision of the mayor, and I just have to say this, and I'm not the mayor. He's the mayor, and he must have his reasons why he's doing that. I just want to put it on the record that I profoundly disagree. I profoundly think that this is unfair to the teachers, and I need to say that. Because these teachers and the school departments have really gone out of the way. And I remind you, they're still teaching and working in the middle of a pandemic. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Before I let George Blake speak, I wanted to make a comment, TJ. We, without a doubt, will give $5 million or more to police misconduct, and I'm gonna beat it in the head as much as I can, as often as I can, because without a doubt, I know it's legal, I know it's civil cases that we have to pay, or, I know that, but without a doubt, I never hear the mayor coming out on a stance against what's happening in the police department. He always is, we love our men in blue, we love our men and women in blue, we do, but wrong is wrong. And I never hear him come out about the wrong that's happened with the few officers that's doing it, ever. But when it comes to paying those who's doing right, you say no? Like, how can that even be? How is that even possible that we can even, come of our mouth and say that? Like you said, we won't spend 10 million, we won't spend 15 or 20 million. Will we spend 5? Can the city find 2.5 million and the school department find 2.5 million and give 5,000 employees $1,000? I mean, that's better than the zero that they're getting now while they're going to schools, and your wife probably included, going to school, being exposed to COVID, coming home with the possibility of bringing that to their family, and they're exposed way more than I am, or probably you are, or anybody else on this call, except for Ms. Barbara Gresham, because she works with you. How can we, and Zeta does too, how can we even fathom that? That leaves a horrible taste in my mouth that it won't even be considered any further because the merit pay is closed. So I just want to give George Blake, TJ, I'm not blaming you at all. You're doing what you have to do as a financial officer. You're here. No one from the school side is here except Barbara Gresham from the school committee. And I know that other school committee members work and probably can't get off right now. But this is, it's just like very insensitive and tasteless, irresponsible. It's nasty. And school employees are city employees. Like, we are not separated. They live in Springfield, a lot of them. They live in Springfield, their family, raising their families in Springfield. It's not separate. They're city employees. So I think the mayor needs to reconsider his decision because this is not going to look good for him. But I'm going to leave that where it's at. George, I'm going to give you the floor to just tell us a little bit about what you do and why you think you deserve merit pay or hazard pay.
Thank you. I appreciate it a lot. I really do. I'm grateful for everyone's ear. And if you hear a noise in the background, I have my 2.5-year-old granddaughter in there. She's occupied right now, but that might not last long. But here, really, let me go back. I'm an attendance officer. I retired when they went back in session, but I worked the entirety when everyone else was at home remote. Myself and my colleagues were working from home, but our job was to go into homes to find out why your child wasn't in school, to bring you a laptop, to bring you paperwork. Come on, baby. And to just bring you paper letters and everything to find out what's going on with your school's your child's attendance. And in that, they're not waving at you, baby. So we were literally doing what everyone else was being told not to do. We were going in apartment buildings at close contact, in close quarters. We were going in people's houses, not really in the houses, but on the porches, in the doorways. You getting down? Okay. We were doing the interpersonal interactions on the behalf of our students to ensure that our students were successful. Part of our job was to do those things because people above us at a higher pay grade got bonuses and raises based on attendance. I don't know where we fall on the pay grade, but I know we're close to the bottom. But our lives were put at risk on a daily basis. And our job was to do these visits, and they were told we had to turn in monthly reports about our visits to justify our existence. And so I think I'm a retired law enforcement officer, 25 years. I retired in 2007. So hazardous, I said that to say that hazardous by definition is what we do. Nobody, and I'm not speaking to anybody in particular, but nobody on this meeting can hear what I said we did, and some of my colleagues still do, and not deem it to be hazardous. And that by definition is hazardous. By putting yourself, we're doing what the public is told not to do. And so I reached out and I got a letter or an email from Mr. Maloney, and it said something about, and no disrespect to Mr. Maloney, I don't know him. Mahoney, I'm sorry, I apologize. About not being a union member or non-bargaining. I really, it was very dismissive and very, very inconsiderate, in my opinion. because it really doesn't matter what union I'm in, or if I'm a union, or if I'm not in a union, which I'm not. What I did, I risked my family, myself, and everybody that I care about for the betterment of our students. And if anybody, and any of you can look at me and tell me that that's not true, then you won't hear another word from me. And again, I'm speaking not just about me, I'm speaking about my colleagues who are still doing it. You know, Tracy mentioned, you know, the IT people with the laptops, ensuring our children had laptops. We did that too. They would call and say, hey, listen, while you're out doing a home visit, can you stop by Girard Avenue and drop Tracy Whitfield's daughter off a laptop or a cord or a charger? And of course we would do that. So IT got it because they were doing the right thing. And the nurses got it. I mean, we had boots on the ground for the entire time. I'm not gonna hold you. I think, and again, I don't want to keep repeating myself because that's really makes no sense. But I just would ask if any of you hear what we did and can say that's not hazardous duty by definition. Thank you so much. I appreciate everybody. Thanks.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Blake? I mean, Mr. Blake is my family, and easily what they did could have came back to me as his children. His son visits my house frequently, but he still did it faithfully, without complaining, not for hazard pay or merit pay, but because he wanted our kids to be successful. These are our children. These are people taking care of our children. And what we are telling them is that we don't care about what you did for our children. We don't care that you put your families at risk. We don't care. They're city employees. Let's think about that for a minute. They are city employees, whether it's a school side or a city side, I don't care what bucket of money. I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated that no one had respect enough from the school side, except for Ms. Barbara Gresham on the school committee, to attend this meeting. Is a slap in the face and is disrespectful. I'm upset that the mayor will not respond. I send this information to him and I don't get a response. I asked to meet with him and I don't get a response, like 4 occasions. Not doing it anymore. Everything's gonna be publicly done because this is a sad way to run a city. It's unprofessional way to run a city. It's unprofessional to run a school department, and is not benefiting our children, because what's going to happen is these employees are going to leave like Mr. Blake did, because they don't feel appreciated. And so we need to figure it out, or we're going to be at these meetings again, because I'm not going to stop pushing publicly until something happens. I'm not going to stop. So we need to come to the table. We can do it together. I mean, I'm not asking for $5,000 per employee. That's a lot of money. I'm not asking for that. But something is better than nothing. Let's show these people that we care about them. Let's give them some respect. Like, this is hard work that you got to do during COVID, when it's cold, when it's hot, when, like, do we take any of that into consideration? TJ, you're getting the brunt of this, you and Lindsay, but the message is not for you, because I know that you try to bring things forward. And I know that if the school department came up with something, that you will do something to try to do something too. So this, you're the only one here. You're the only one here from the administration, which is sad. And so unfortunately, you got to bear the burden of all this pain that we're causing you. But it's not directed towards you, because I can honestly say anytime that I reach out to you in the finance team, you do bring something back. You will respond, you will answer. And I definitely appreciate that. but the message has got to get out there, and the mayor, the superintendent, the CFO, the school committee members, all of them need to watch this video.
So I'm happy to bring it back to the mayor again. I've had these conversations numerous times with all the parties involved. It's a request that I've been, digging on, knowing how the city council feels, knowing how the requests are out there from the teachers union, requests are out there from the parish union, requests are out there from attendance officers like Mr. Blake. I mean, we've had the requests and I've had the conversations. What I'm reporting today is where I'm at is, until the school committee and school department decide that they want to open it up, my hands are tied in terms of not putting additional revenue from the ARPA funds on the table for it.
Let's look at free cash. Let's look at other buckets of money. ARPA's not the only money that comes into the city. So we're not gonna pretend that we do have some free cash. I would prefer to give that 5 million you want to replenish for reserves to the employees of the school department. If I had my way, that would be my request. It wouldn't be replenish police misconduct. It would be, let's pay the ones who are doing the right thing. And I know Ms. Barbara Gresham also has her hand up, so I wanted to give her opportunity to speak.
Yes, thank you, Council Whitfield. Thank you for inviting me to this meeting. I've made a lot of notes, and thank you for bringing this awareness, because I didn't know anything about it. So thank you very much.
So you didn't know about the conversations happening with the school and the city side, Ms. Barbara?
The only thing, well, kind of, sort of, but not about a lot of it I didn't know. So I've made some notes.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate you attending, definitely. From the school side, you're the only one, so we definitely appreciate you. I wanted to see if Counselor Allen had anything that he wanted to say.
Thanks, Counselor Whitfield. Yeah, to me, it's the city council has a big role in the city. I'm not sure that this is our role at this point. I think the school department, the mayor is the manager of the city of Springfield, and TJ works for him, etc. But the manager of the schools, I believe, is Superintendent Warwick, and run by the school committee. So it seems to me that they would have to say that they want to give bonuses or whatever. And there's one person from the school committee here today. There's I think 5 others besides the mayor who are not here. And that's the way I view it. Is that the merit pay that was given to the city employees was given by the management of the city, which is the mayor, TJ, and the other managers that work for the mayor. It seems to me that the decisions on the school side, and I know the relationship of the school committee to the school department management, the superintendent, etc., is a little different than our relationship is with the mayor. But I've not heard directly from the managers of the school department that they want to do this. And that would be the school committee and the superintendent. So it seems to me that that's where I haven't heard them say they don't want to do it. I haven't heard they say they want to do it. I've just heard this stuff about this money can't be used in such and such a way. But regardless of where the money is, somebody has to say, this is what we want to do. And I haven't heard that yet. So that's my comment. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that the management of any organization is the ones who make those kind of decisions. And the mayor's role with the school department is different than the mayor's role in City Hall. He's a member of the school committee, but he's not the chief executive officer of the school department. I believe that's Superintendent Warwick. And I'm not sure how all those relationships work, but
Do you know if the superintendent is appointed by the mayor?
No,
Well,
he's appointed by the school committee, majority vote.
Appointed by the school committee?
Majority vote of the school committee.
Okay.
So for us to talk about doing it, I think first, the management of the school department, which is the school committee, and the superintendent in some combination, they're the managers of the school department. It's really there, that's where it would start in my view. And TJ is not in the same role in the school department that he is in the city council. In the city council, or in the city of Springfield, he's not only the CFO, but he's also the manager of many of the departments in City Hall. That's not the case in the school department. Pat Roach has a dotted line to TJ, but the school department is kind of a separate entity in a lot of the ways it's set up. So to me, that's where the conversation had, if it's taken place, I'm not aware of it. And if you were going to pursue it, I think that's the place to pursue it.
Well,
Because they're
Counselor
the
Allen, I
What?
agree with you 100%. And we tried to get the school department here. I'll try to go through the superintendent the next time and see if we'll have better luck that way, but we did invite the school department. So I don't want folks to think that the school department was not invited. I'm gonna make sure that I'll even try to have a committee with the finance of the school department and the city side, but our role is to the people. And if the people are gonna come knocking on my door, that's who I'm responsible to, because they.
No, I understand what you're.
No,
I
because
understand.
what I heard is the city, and it's not our role. And it is, because anything that anyone comes to me with or for is my role. Sometimes they come to me with housing issues, although I don't work in housing or wayfinders, I'm gonna give them a referral. I'm gonna do my best. So our role is city council, and I always hear we're the closest ones to the public. We're the closest ones to the public. So if they don't have us to go to, who else are they going to go to? And maybe some folks know us better or feel more comfortable coming to us. And so I've had a lot of that. So once it's on my shoulders, it becomes my responsibility. That's just me.
I understand your advocacy, and you're welcome to do whatever advocacy you want to do, and you're doing that. I'm just saying the people who make the decision are not in this meeting right now, except for Barbara Gresham. The other 5 members of the school committee and the superintendent, I believe, are where the decision to do something or not to do something on the school side, I think it's in there. And your advocacy is great and warranted if it's something you want to advocate on, for sure. But as far as I know, those are the people that would make the decision. The mayor would be part of it because he's part of the school committee. But he doesn't have this.
Because we have part of the funding. We have some of the funding on the school, city side to help with the merit pay. Like, I work for the school on the city side, but my kids are in the Springfield Public School, so it doesn't even matter what bucket of money it comes out for me, whether it's school or city, whether it's mayor, superintendent that make the decision needs to be made. So I mean, we're not a separate entities. We're not 2 different towns. It's not West Springfield and Springfield. It's the city of Springfield. And so these people talk to each other all the time. The mayor is the chair of the school committee. So he talks to the superintendent constantly. He's at meetings with the superintendent and the rest of the school committee constantly. So they talk.
My comment isn't to try to get you more upset about it. I'm just saying that the mayor isn't in the same role in the school department that he is in the city. And he's a member of 6, there's 7 members of the school committee, he's one of them. And there's 6 other voices. They're not here except for Barbara Gresham, and the superintendent's not here. So I'm just saying your advocacy is great. You believe in it and you're going for it. I just think you need different people in the room in order to, and I don't know what they'll say, but because these are the only conversations I've had on this, but.
And we'll keep trying. Counselor Hurst?
Yeah, no, I certainly hear what Counselor Allen is saying. I disagree. I disagree with sort of the premise of his statement, just because if the mayor wants to use ARPA funding to issue merit pay to the teachers, the mayor has the authority to do so. And if he so chooses to do that, he can. If he chooses to use some sort of funding from the school department, then maybe that's a conversation in which it might make sense for folks to include different parties. I think either way boils down to what the mayor wants to do. And I think we as advocates, to Councilor Whitfield's point, need to advocate on behalf of what our constituents are telling us that they want. I do think would be nice though, to hear from both the school committee and the school department folks, Superintendent Pat Roach included, as to where they stand. And I think everybody ought to know where they stand. If the finance meeting was recorded, I'd love to get that information, and I'll certainly look into that. But it ought to be made public. I have a funny feeling that folks on the inside that are closely connected to the superintendent and to the mayor don't want to deal with this issue and want it to go away, which makes it extremely problematic, which is probably why Ms. Gresham may not be as informed as she should be, my wife included, but it's purposeful. And so we need to shed light on it if other folks aren't. And I think that's what we're doing right now. And I think we need to continue to do so. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, the advocacy is you're welcome to the advocacy. I just think that the people who have the ultimate decision making, you're putting it on the mayor. I'm saying that the school committee and the superintendent are the management of the school, and the mayor's role is one of the school committee members. Does he have a bigger role because he's the mayor? Well, maybe he does, but I'm not in those conversations. But until the school committee says we want to do this, or the superintendent wants to do this, to me, that's where the decisions are made.
I think we have to be clear. Right, Counselor.
Are you finished, Counselor Allen?
I finished. Yeah, sorry.
So, Madam Chair, I think we have to be clear on one thing. The mayor can unilaterally issue merit pay.
Yes.
It's just all to it. If the school, and I agree with you, I think it'd be nice if they want to issue it from the school department side and using their funding, then maybe they need to be in the room. I think either way, it'd be nice to hear from them in terms of where they stand. But we can't brush aside the fact that the mayor, if he so chooses, can unilaterally issue this funding on the city side for the school department. And he doesn't need the school department's approval to do so at all. And I don't, it might be nice to have it, but I don't think he needs it at all.
Thank you, Counselor. I'm hopeful that I'm going to give it another effort in the next week or so after Thanksgiving to have another meeting. And I'm sorry to do this to you guys. And I'm going to reach out to the vice chair to see if we can do a dual meeting. We have to, Counselor. We can't let it fall by the wayside, but they need to come online on a recorded video and say, this is absolutely not what we're going to do. It's not what we want for our staff. And then our staff, our school department, the employees will be 100% sure on what the administration feels, whether it's the mayor or the school department or both, on the decision and on how they all feel. Because if they're not going to change their minds, we can keep having these meetings, but then it's going to be up to the school employees to do something, to put pressure, to leave. I don't know. Are we going to lose some of our best employees because they don't feel valued? Maybe. But one thing is for certain, I don't care if it's the mayor or the superintendent or the school committee, Tracy Whitfield, Justin Hurst, Victor Davila are going to continue to fight for what's right for the school employees. Counselor.
Just real quick, Madam Chair, did the city council approve any of the merit pay bonuses for any of the unions on the city side?
Well, when we approved the ARPA funds,
So we approved the
They kind-
funding as
Yeah,
a whole,
Right.
but we
right,
didn't
as a whole.
approve, we didn't approve individually whether it should go to this particular group or that particular group, right?
No,
And we
were
also didn't
kinda-
approve
No,
for the
but
non-bargaining employees either,
Hold
right?
on, Counselor Dava,
Right.
hold on,
Okay,
hold on.
go ahead.
We also didn't approve for the non-bargaining employees either, right? So
No, we
the
didn't.
mayor made a unilateral decision for folks on the city side, the same way he can make a unilateral decision for any other union.
Correct. Counselor Dava?
Thank you. I think Councilor Hurst just spoke to what I was going to say. For bargaining law, does have to be done with the unions and then unilaterally for those that are non-union employees, which reminds me, Madam Chair, did we ever get that follow-up report for the non-union regarding merit pay? I know there was a second report.
We got two reports, one that showed who got the merit pay and the amounts, and then we got one that showed who did not qualify for the merit pay based on the city's criteria,
Okay,
which
Thank you.
is another conversation that's gonna happen in the near future. So
Thank you.
but I'm gonna meet with TJ first just to make sure I understand what's happening.
thank you, Madam Chair.
And school committee, Lady Gresham, I hope that you can bring this information back to your colleagues and to the superintendent. What George Blake has to say is real life, is people's families. And while there are employees that probably don't need the bonus, there are employees or merit pay or hazard pay, there are employees that probably really do. Paras get paid what? Like $17 an hour or something. So I hope that you can bring this back to your colleagues.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I will. I made a lot of notes, and I really do thank you for inviting me to this meeting. I've
You're
learned a
welcome.
lot.
All righty. And if there's no more questions or comments, we are going to say bye to this meeting because we got another tax rate meeting, setting meeting at 5 o'clock.
Thank you, George, for attending. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thanks,
definitely
everyone.
No
appreciate you,
Yeah,
George.
Good night, everybody.
thank you for having me. Ms. Gresham, if you have any questions on my end, please, Tracy has my info. Please don't hesitate. I don't want this to fall on deaf ears. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
And it
Thank you
won't.
for all you do and all you've done.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Zeta, for
everybody.
joining. Have a
Good night.
nice one, everyone.
Bye.